Okay, that's us live. Okay, I'd like to welcome you to another video. I want to thank our guest today, Nic Hills from Nic and Andrea Hills, for joining us. And today we're going to have a chat about what it takes to be a reseller. Basically, how long does it take before you've got enough stock and enough business to actually support a decent wage and that type of thing. I've had quite a few people ask questions coming in. How long did it take you to actually build it up enough that you actually got a wage so you can be full-time reselling rather than part-time and things like that? So that's roughly what we're going to talk about. Nic and myself, we do different areas in the reselling. So I thought it'd be interesting to see how we are in comparison. On how long it took you to be
and
successful.
We may have very different opinions on this as well, about how much you need and stuff, because
we haven't actually done a chat beforehand to prepare for this, have we? So we don't know.
So yeah, anyway, good to see you. It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a while. How are you keeping? You okay?
Busy. There's too much going on. We were chatting on Messenger last night. I was trying to fill you in on, it's just, we've decided to sell the house and move about the time we're going to launch this app, which wasn't clever planning, really.
So does everybody know about your app? Have you announced that in your channel
yet? I've waffled on about it enough.
Well, for my viewers and for my channel, Nic and Andrea have spent a small fortune, 18 months of your life developing
not quite.
Seems like it. Developing an app that basically marks down all the charity shops. Is it does fates, jumble sales, boot sales? Do charity shops now as well?
What it is for launch, it's going to be charity shops, boot sales, and yard sale events across the whole of the UK. It's an interactive map-based app. You can add locations to it. You can edit the information that's on there. You can use it to route plan. It's a massive project. For our first app, we bit off way more than we could chew. Hence, we've been developing it for almost a year. It's been quite a ride.
Well, I can't wait to see it. I really can't. And obviously, once it comes out, we'll have you on the channel and you can talk us all through the app and promote the app tidy on the channel.
You'll be sick of hearing about it by the time it's out. Yeah.
I'm hoping to be using it. So let alone sick of using it, I'm hoping to be using it. I'm going to be one of your first users, trust me.
Well, I'm hoping you'll be on there, checking the work locations and updating all of my info that will be incorrect.
Well, I'll certainly be doing that.
People are coming in now. They're all saying hello. Yeah. We weren't sure if many early birds would be in. This is early for me, by the way.
Yeah, we were a little worried whether Nic was going to be up in time for the film today.
I was still working at 5 a.m. So I've not had a lot of sleep.
Should we say a couple of hellos a minute?
Where
we at? So we got Tam and Bell. Hello. Good morning, Babs. Oh, and Nic. Sales of the unexpected. I like that. Morning.
That's Pete, that is. Peter Cummins.
I know that name.
Who used to be the Vinegar Jar.
That's how I knew the name. Right. Good morning, Kirsten. Good morning, Richie. How you doing, fella? Just quickly for Richie, go up to Beacon's Reclamation. They have a load of Royal Albert up there, mate. Justin was telling me this Thursday. Good morning. How do you pronounce that, Nic?
Filed.
Okay.
Field. Is it an odd spelling of field?
I don't know. With my dyslexia, I can't read that. I'm so sorry, but good morning to you.
Coast flips. Let's just go with coast flips.
Coast flips. Morning, Babs. Too blooming early. No, it's not. It's not early. Good morning, Anya. And good morning, Duncan. So we have got a few in the chat. As I have said, we're going to chat about reselling. And I suppose it all depends, right? Because I've had half a dozen people ask me, how long did it take me till I could do reselling full time and actually pay the bills? So I don't know why you would actually consider a wage or what I'd consider a wage, because I suppose it would depend on what income you actually need, don't it? What do you actually class as a wage?
That's exactly the crux of this question. It's not how much you can earn from reselling, it's how much you need to earn to keep your bills paid. And that varies enormously because of whatever financial situation you're in. And I'm in the privileged position of being mortgage free, debt free. I don't actually need to earn as much as many people to keep things afloat, right?
Yeah.
So that's actually the question. And that's a personal question for everybody watching, to be honest, about how much you actually need to earn. Once you know that number, then you need to ask the question, how much can I earn from reselling? And then you have to figure that out and be honest with yourself. And it varies hugely. So I have a figure in my head that I like to turn over daily, weekly. But I'm very relaxed about it because I can be, because I don't need to earn a great deal.
Do you want to say your figure?
That's my situation, but it's not everybody's, And if you're coming from a full-time job where you've had a healthy wage, the other thing about reselling is that it's very hit and miss. We were talking about this on my live stream the other night, that I think that's the big shock when you come into this. You have good weeks and you have appalling weeks.
Yeah. Do you know, I've got 2,100 items up for sale on my website, right? And I know it's a lot, trust me, right? And I can go and I can have 5, 6, 7 sales a day for a month. And then I can go 2 weeks and not have a sale. It doesn't make sense. And then all of a sudden, I'll be sat here going, I haven't had a sale for like 10 days or 12 days. Next thing you know, I've had like 4 in 10 minutes. It really is that weird, isn't it?
Yeah. And the other thing is with resellers, we all do things very differently. We have very different models pricing wise, very different stock. Edward and I have very different stock. And I dare say mine would turn over more quickly. And so I tend to have way less inventory listed. I go as low as 200 items listed, and I'm still making what I need to make.
Right.
So it depends an awful lot on so many variables: what you're selling, how quick your turnover is, how are you price high and wait regardless, or are you very competitive? There's no easy answer to this question. That's the thing.
Well, you touched on probably 4 or 5 different topics that I want to cover. For example, what you're selling. I was going to discuss now, in particular, the gentleman who messaged me, I think, has an interest in antiques and collectibles. So in general, I think they were asking how much stock you need to have listed in antiques and collectibles. And to be honest with you, that is such a really hard question to answer now, because we're in the time now. I hate to say it, but we're almost in a recession again. People are struggling, right? Fuel is crazy price. Look at this. I'm not kidding you, right? I'm crying. Where is it? That's my electric bill. Where is it? There. £994. That's my electric bill for this quarter. That's no arrears. And I've just had my gas bill, £600. They come in last night, £1,600 for a quarter for gas and electric.
Yeah.
So I think people are in a recession. So for me, I'm finding now that my business is slowing down, because if people can't afford gas, electric, fuel, and food, why are they going to invest in an art glass vase or a bit of militaria that they can live without?
Yeah.
Which is why I've actually gone up a level. And I think for me, I aimed for people who haven't been hit by the recession. So I'm selling stuff for the hundreds of pounds rather than £5 or £10 because it's so much easier. But you've got the other side. Now, I know you do electrics and general and games and things like that. I don't know, do you do shoes and clothes, or is that Andrea?
We used to in a big way. Not really anymore. Andrea's moved away from that completely. We still have some stock that we need to deal with.
Yeah.
but no, in a word.
Well, I was having a
Andrew's
conversation.
moved into more your sort of realm with the
Yeah.
antique and vintage collectibles. That's what she's passionate about now.
Well, I had a conversation down the boot sale this week with somebody who actually buys and sells shoes. That's what he does, is shoes and trainers. And you know what? He can't keep up with it. As quick as he buys a pair of shoes, right, cleans them up, puts them online, they're gone, same day. He can't buy enough to keep the supply going. So I suppose in the recession age that we're heading into, people have a need for shoes, have a need for clothes and things like that. So I suppose it depends on what you want to sell. If you want to go down that line, where everybody's a customer.
I think you're right. It does depend a lot what you're selling. And it was interesting. I hadn't really thought about it that way, that with the expensive antiques and collectibles, are people thinking, well, I won't bother with that now because I need to pay the gas and electric. But you are right as well. If you go for the really expensive stuff, somebody who's prepared to put £500 on a vase down, they're not the people that are going to worry about the gas bill.
No.
So perhaps that is a good plan to go big, really. But you are also right that it's essentials that people are thinking, well, maybe I'll get a second-hand pair of shoes now.
Yeah.
Because I can't afford the £100 pair of Nikes, I'll get a £50 pair on eBay or whatever it is, right? So that does make sense. There's a lot of sense in that. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Now, I don't know how you were finding it. Now, I'm doing fine. I got to be honest with you. But as I said, I got 2,100 items now currently listed on the website, right? And out of that 2,100, I probably sell 15 items a week. That's all I sell.
Wow.
But my items are 3 and 4 figures.
Yeah.
I have got some 10 and 20 and 30 pound stuff dotted in here and there. But it's very rare I sell stuff sort of less than £100. Most of my stuff is 3 figures up. So it's okay not to have them. And I don't know if you've seen my car boot sale films. You probably have, Nick. I buy the stuff in for pennies. It comes in for nothing and goes out, so it's huge profit. So where I don't know, like with the gentleman who I was talking about who does the shoes and that, I don't know how much he's turning over in profit wise. But me, it's a huge profit margin. So I can afford less sales each week. So that's a big thing as well. What you're selling, what you're paying for it, what your margin is, and what your costs are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And we are pretty much the other end of the spectrum from you. I do a lot of 10, 15, 20 pound items, but I also do the £100 items fairly regularly. I like to mix it up a bit. But yeah, with turnover, we're completely different, as in I can do 15 items a day easily.
Yeah.
So, but they might be £10 items. So it probably balances out. So we're turning over similar numbers, but I am.
Well, I said 2 items off yesterday, and they were £300 for the 2.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So those are the exceptions to me. The 100, 200 items. I sold some D&D books for £150 the other day that owed us next to nothing.
Yeah.
And I love that stuff, but I keep the money coming in with the 10, 20 pound items.
Yeah, but for that type of stuff, see, what I do is I do it at the boot sale.
Yeah.
If I buy a job lot or, God forbid, a mistake, you have to get some of your money back on the mistake, and I'll bang it back out to the car boot sale and take a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Makes no odds to me. I'll take a loss on it just to keep the turnover going and keep getting rid of the stock. Would you believe I'm still selling the stock from my shop?
Yes, I would. I saw how much stuff you had.
I've still got 3 shipping containers full. I'm halfway through emptying my garage. But what I'm doing is all the low-end stuff goes to the car boot sale. I don't make no money on the day. I really don't. If I make £100 at a car boot sale, I probably spend 3. So I actually don't come back in front any day I work a car boot sale, which sounds a bit odd, I know. But the way I see it, that £100, is £100 I haven't spent then, isn't it?
Yeah. I was reading the chat, some interesting comments in. When we were going back to consistency, Pete makes a good point, saying inconsistency isn't weird. What would be weird if we get £100 of sales every day for 3 months? Yeah, it would be odd if we turned over the same every day, and it would be impossible.
Yeah, but I think people, they have an expectation, don't they? When they want to come from an office job where they're treated like crap sometimes, or where they just ain't happy, and do something. You can turn, that's the good thing about reselling. You can turn a hobby into a business. It doesn't matter what you do, whether it's records. What's that other channel you got with the records? Is it?
Oh yeah, the music channel, World in My
Depeche,
Eyes.
that World in My Eye, that Depeche Mode or something, isn't it? Something
Yeah,
like that you
well,
can
that's
do.
one of the bands I talk about, the main one. Yeah.
Yeah, you love that band, yeah. You can turn a hobby or an interest into a business. But the question everyone wants to know is, at what point does it pay the bills? So how long did it take you to actually pay the bills? Because I know you left the police force, to do this.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I got into eBay in the late 90s and was doing it as a hobbyist from about 98. I joined the police force in 2001 and about a year later left. By that time, so it was about 2 or 3 years, I'd been building up eBay as a hobby. And we hit the ground running because I knew what I was doing. Andrew was on board as well. And we had a backlog of stock before we, D-Day of quitting our jobs.
Yeah.
And I had done enough of it to know it was possible. It was still a huge risk. Andrea left her job at Amazon. I left my job in the police force. We lost 2 decent wages at the same time, just after having our child. Nuts, right? But yeah, I'd worked hard enough and knew enough that I thought I could do it. So I didn't go in cold. I was already turning over fairly decent numbers, and once both of us were in it and panicking that we had to earn that wage, I knew pretty much we had it licked. So yeah, just went for it.
Just for the new people, I just want to emphasize eBay in the 90s and early noughts isn't what it is now.
No.
You could have paid a house cash the money it didn't matter what you put on eBay. You could sell it. And you'd sell it for big money.
The difference then was that there weren't that many sellers compared to buyers.
Yeah.
I think. And it was just a very different place. I mean, I met Andrew in a record shop. That was our thing. So we were making a fortune selling CDs.
Yeah.
And videos. It was videos back then. That's what you'd find on the boot sales anyway. So people were buying media and paying really good money for media. You turning that stuff over. And there weren't many of us trawling the boot sales, picking it up. So I'd fill the car up with it, pile it all on eBay, and start again the next Monday. It was great.
Well, I used to be like you. I was doing eBay from probably 2 or 3 years after his creation. And I was buying, stuff at the auctions, and I was outbidding every dealer there was because I knew I'd put it on eBay and I'd get 10 times what they were asking for at an antique fair. That's how good eBay used to be. It's not that now. I find the prices on antiques and collectibles now on eBay are cheaper than you have to pay in auction.
Yeah. Yeah, so much has changed. I mean, we are talking 20 years ago now.
Yeah. It's probably going to be a lot harder, I would think, for people to come into the business now than it was when, let's say you and I done it.
I think in that there's a lot more competition, as in a lot more sellers. You'd be struggling to find a completely unique item on eBay now. I mean, maybe easier for you because you are in the very unique vintage collectibles stuff.
But again, it's been 20 years of learning my trade. If someone coming into this now, unless they got a hobby and an interest already, do you know what I mean? It is so important to have such a good business plan and understand what you're going to sell and what your margins are going to be. I don't know. I think it's a wonderful lifestyle for anyone who wants to come into it, but I'd certainly say come into it with caution.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I think the thing is, it's so much easier to get started with the technology because all you really need is a phone.
Yeah.
I've got friends who do everything on their phone. It drives me nuts doing everything on my phone, but you can. When I started, you needed a fairly expensive computer because they weren't cheap.
Yeah.
you needed a digital camera. Oh, what's one of them? You know what I mean? It was a totally different world back then.
And it was still on dial-up, which took forever to upload your
Yep.
photos.
Well, I used to use Turbo Lister, work on it all day, and leave it uploading all night.
Right.
That's how I do. You know, we'd
Yeah.
write all of the stuff and then kick
Yeah.
it off when you went to bed.
But
In the
back then,
morning,
we
if
even
you
had
were
to use
lucky, they'd gone up.
pay for the images, didn't we? If you remember,
I don't even
images weren't
remember
free
that.
back then. It used to be 12 pence per picture.
Oh, I didn't even remember that.
Yeah, it used to be. They used to charge you for your listing, and then every picture would be like 12 pence extra, and you'd be surprised to be like £1.50 for a listing. Yeah, I remember that.
Completely forgotten that. I saw just quickly.
I haven't even looked at the chat.
I saw a question going past.
Right, hang on. How far back are we going? Let's go.
Oh, back. Pete, question to Nick. Did you prefer doing eBay reselling 15 years ago when hardly anyone else was doing it, or do you prefer it now with every Tom, Dick, and Harry doing it? I don't know that I have a preference. I guess I preferred it when there was less competition. It was that little bit easier, maybe.
It certainly was easier.
I did prefer it back then because if I wanted to, I could just do media quite easily, which still, I guess, is media and video games. If I could just do that, I would. Yeah. But it's harder to find the good stuff, and it's harder to sell the bog standard stuff now. So I've naturally diversified. But then again, I enjoy that. I enjoy being a generalist and going out and not knowing what I'm going to pick up because I pick up anything. Yeah.
Also,
Andrew's in. Hello, Andrew.
Do you know, we haven't even been going through the chat. I'd also, one of the things I wanted to point out was, you know, in doing your business plan is knowing where you want to sell. Because one of my biggest fears over the last 10 or 15 years was that eBay could flip a switch and put me out of business overnight.
Yeah.
And I've known people where they've done it. You know, there's a lot of scammers on eBay. You can make a lot of money on eBay, you can. But there's a lot of scammers on eBay that can end up costing you, they can end up costing you your account. You know what I mean? A couple of strikes and you're off eBay. So you got to know where you're selling it. I've never tried Etsy. Now, Kirsten sells in Etsy. You've sold on Etsy. Now, everything I've ever heard about Etsy has been pretty poor.
I wouldn't knock it. I'd say get on there and have a go.
Yeah,
we are selling more and more and more on Etsy. A lot of international orders. A lot of it goes to America.
Fair enough. That's a new one on me. So, maybe not just list on eBay. Let's list on both of them.
Yeah, I think Andrew Costas lists pretty much everything. I still haven't actually listed myself. I've been talking about doing it for ages.
Yeah.
It has to be vintage to go on there, which isn't a problem for your stuff, clearly. Yeah. But most of my stuff is 20 years plus. So
yeah,
most of what I sell anyway would be able to go on there.
So what do you sell, Nick? Let's break it down. And I know you sell everything, and I've seen enough of your videos to know, but just for the people watching, what do you sell?
Media, as in CDs, DVDs, and video games. Toys, a lot of toys, a lot of vintage toys and games. Just looking around. Electricals, homeware, and then collectible stuff, anything, right down to trading cards. I used to do a lot of trading cards. Anything with a margin, really. But I do like the vintage. 70s, 80s toys is a bit of a sweet spot for me, but I don't find as much as I used to, which is frustrating. Tools, I do like selling tools, power tools, that sort of thing. Great money in that. I could go on.
All right. So what is your fastest turnaround item? So if you was advising someone to start up today, right, and they have no particular field, what would you say to them would be your quickest seller, that if you could only sell one item, your quickest turnaround item, or your average, for availability and turnaround sort of item?
That's not an easy question. The best thing to get into for availability, if you're going to want to get hold of it, is clothing, I would suggest. But then you really need some knowledge to know what's going to turn over quick. You need to be up to date with trends and what people are after, right? If you've got that, if you're into your clothes, I'm not. You know, I just wear random t-shirts with stuff on, and that's it. That's my knowledge of clothing. But you can get clothing anywhere, and you can get it cheap generally.
Yeah.
Easy to package. And if you've got the right stuff and you're pricing it keenly, it will sell quick. But it's not my field, so yeah,
it's not a field I know either, to be honest with you. But I would assume pretty much everyone is your customer. I have limited customers for my stock. I do antiques, collectibles, and I can tell you now, an average turnover of my items, I think the quickest will be, if I don't sell it instantly to someone watching a film or something like that, because I sell quite a bit, where I'll put a film out and I'll get 3 or 4 people will go, I like that, can I have that? If you put that aside, just by listing stuff online, I think the average would be 3 to 4 weeks for the quickest for it to sell. But I've got things on there that are 5 years old. But what I tend to do, the way I work, is I buy such unique items that require a specialist buyer. But the profit margin on them is huge. So I don't mind sitting on a huge stock inventory, waiting for that right buyer to come along who'll pay the big money. So then I don't require as many sales to make my money. But I've got stuff that I've had for 5 years, and I have stuff that sells within a few weeks.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get into the antiques, that's where you're at. You're either going to be one or two levels. You're either going to be buy it in and sell it on to trade and let them worry about getting the good money, in which case you can sell it like that, within days. Or you bang it into an auction or whatever, and you let the trade fight at it there, and you just make whatever profit it gives you. But if you want to do it, where you want the most money out of it, then it's huge quantities. That's why all these antique shops, you go in an antique shop and they got thousands of items crammed into an antique shop. It's because you need that selection. So when a customer comes in, you potentially got a chance of them seeing something they've wanted.
Well, that's where the question comes from. How many items do I need listed to earn a living? Because people think that you have and in some ways you do. You have a kind of average percentage of your stock that you might turn over in a week or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's where you and I would probably vary. If I have a listing session, well, you'll see in my videos, if I show a haul and then I get busy and I actually get all of that listed in the next few days, in my next sales video, the stuff that I was buying at the weekend is already selling, and a lot of it will sell the same day I list it. That's, because I'm talking about, I'm currently going through a pile of these Power Rangers toys and stuff, and these will all get listed today, and I will sell some today. That's just how it is. But some of it will sit there for 6 weeks and still be sat there, and I'll mark it down and then get it gone.
I don't mark down, see. I don't see the point in marking down, because for me, I'm not worried about moving it on, because if I've bought it and I put it on my website, then I'm proud of the item anyway, and I just know it's waiting for the right buyer to come across and see it. Now, someone may message me and make me an offer. That's a different kettle of fish, but I don't actually mark down looking for buyers. I let the items sell themselves.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the sit and wait approach.
Sorry.
There's a buyer out there, and I will wait as long as it takes to find them approach. And and I was more that way. I was more that way inclined in the past. But I've slowly, I think, been pushed by kind of market forces really to be way more competitive and way happier to take less but get it turned over within hours. I would happily do that now.
Well, I used to work eBay as an auction, and what I used to do is whatever I bought it at, I'd list it at that start price, no reserve, because they charge you extra for reserves. So whatever I paid for it, let's say I paid £15 or £20, I would start it at the purchase price. So then any time it run, that'd be my profit. And honestly, for the antiques and collectibles, what I found was the same people would buy it at £25 or they would have bought it at £100 off my shop, because the stuff I have is so unique and so rare.
Yep.
It's not about prices; they want it. So for me, it's been I've tried multiple different business models, if you like, and this is the one that works for me, where I have a lot of stock quantity. I set my prices, and I just sit back. Once I've listed it, I wrap it up, put it into storage. It don't exist anymore. I move on to the next one. What can I find next?
Yeah, so you need a lot of storage space. This is the other thing. The big difference perhaps with the two models, and if people are watching this thinking, which camp do I fall in? You've got to ask yourself, do I have space to do an Edward model? Because you will have sheds and containers full of stuff. That's the reality, isn't it? Honestly,
I have 3 full-size shipping containers full.
There you go.
When I say full,
so
I have a shipping container, right? No, my stock's listed. I wrap it in bubble wrap, and I put it in very heavy-duty storage containers, right? And then it goes into the shipping container. And I literally have to open the doors of the shipping container, empty the center aisle to look for the number on the box to match the item to take it out. That's how full my shipping containers are. So yeah,
so that's a big cost and consideration for that business model, isn't it? It's the cost of the storage and the time.
Storage is £240 a month for me. That's not extra.
That's not bad though for that amount of storage.
No, I know,
but it'd be a lot more here. I'll tell you that much.
Well, I live in the sticks. I live in the valleys, in Wales, where space is abundance. Let's put it that way. So yeah, £240 for my storage, but that is still £2,500–3,000 a year for storage costs that have to be factored in. So that's £3,000 I have to make a profit that you don't.
Yeah,
has to be weighed up.
But even on a relatively small stock holding like mine, I mean, I have way more unlisted than listed.
Yeah.
I still have this rather large garage, as was a garage, converted, and I use all of this space, and Andrea has space, so it's still a consideration.
Yeah.
Well, we were chatting to Sophie last night on my channel, who is a nurse and a part-time reseller, and she's operating out of a 1-bedroom flat.
Yeah.
And she's soon going to feel the pinch with space, and a lot of people do struggle with space. It's a big consideration whether you're going to, whatever scale you're going to do eBay.
If you're struggling with space and you want to be a reseller, do jewelry.
Yeah.
You can fit thousands of pounds worth in a suitcase. Do jewelry.
Or Pokemon cards.
Oh, don't. I remember doing them a long time ago, looking for all the shinies. Oh my God, that was it.
Oh, if you'd only put them away and not touch them, you'd be sitting on a fortune now.
Mate, if you saw the stuff I've sold over the years, yeah. Let me do a few hellos anyway, because we've been neglecting the chat.
Yeah. I'm just going to go. You read a few bits. I'm going to grab another.
Yeah. Okay, Duncan, good morning. No problem, Richie. It's all Country Roses. I don't know the price, fella, but going up and have a look. I just know they got it up there, okay? I don't tend to go up there no more. It's pronounced filled. Okay, well, thank you for that. My dyslexia, I struggle with names, so thank you for that. IP, right. Barton, morning. The old school headset. Well, what can I say? I borrowed this off my son this morning. Hang on. Sorry, I borrowed this off my son this morning because I've got a Razer headset and I can't find. It's got a little piece you pull out and plug in the laptop for the wireless, and I can't find none of it. So, yeah. What's this? You need to have a good buffer.
Financially, I think Babs is meaning.
Well,
as in some money
yes
behind
and no,
you.
Because I've done videos where people can start out just by selling the stuff they have in their own house, whether it's collectibles from an ashtray or old clothes, or go in your garage and sell old tools. Now, how many times, people store stuff in their attic. Now, let's be honest. If you haven't seen it for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, you don't need it. Sell it. That's how you start your business. You start it for free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I think though, if you're considering doing this full time, I think
Try
you
it
need
first.
to build up some money in the bank, because you don't know when you're going to get COVID, for example. As I did, and I was out of action for a good 10 days.
Yeah.
You don't know when the car's going to pack up and you suddenly need $1,000 to buy a secondhand car. So, you need to have that financial buffer just to be safe, because it's so unpredictable, and health wise, that's a big consideration. If you suddenly stop working and you're not going to get any sick pay being self-employed, yeah, it's a worry.
It's also not about the big bills coming in. You also don't know when your wage is coming in. There is no certainty in the reselling world that you're going to get sales. So, hello, Lee. What we got here? Inconsistency. Oh, you read that one earlier. Yeah. See, I'm catching up. The only consistency is what you have in terms of listing. Or you could be like Nick and do challenges where you challenge yourself to list with against other people. Does that work?
Yeah, well, for motivation, I'm way too relaxed about stuff, to be honest. I mean, I can afford to be, though. You know what I mean? I've worked hard enough to get into this position. We've talked about this before as well. But yeah, the motivation to really push it, I find if I get involved with a few others and it's a competition, I'm in it then because I want to win.
That was actually one of the things I was going to talk about today, was basically how hard you have to work. Now, I work most weeks 100 hours, 100 plus hours a week.
Wow.
Because I'm out 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 or 3 times a week, because my boot sales around here start at 3 in the morning. Yeah, you'd still be awake. It's fine for you. But you know what I mean. I don't know how many resellers in the chat will agree with me, but it seems when I was doing eBay, if you listed today, you'd have sales today. So if you're having a quiet spell and you started doing some listings, you'd list your way out of the quiet spell. I don't know if you ever found that.
I do find it a motivation if I have a very bad day. It certainly gives me a kick up the bum to say, yeah, let's actually work hard today and put some stuff on, and it does the job usually.
It is hard when you work for yourself to force yourself to do the work. If you're working for someone else, you do the work or you're sacked. When you work for yourself, it's I'll do it later, or I'll get up, I'll have a lie on in the morning, then I'll do it. But with me, I do put the hours in. I got to admit.
I don't find it hard putting in the hours. I find it hard getting started, and that's got harder and harder the older I've got.
Yeah.
I think I put in my really hard graft when we had the retail outlets.
Yeah.
I was working the full sort of 8 hours in the shop, and then I'd stay behind and put in as much time as I could to catch up with myself, processing and doing the online stuff, because we were running an online business and a retail outlet. And then at the weekends, I'd be outsourcing. So I didn't stop for almost a decade. And that sets up financially, but it also nearly killed me. It was too much. But at the same time, Edward, I loved that, and I missed that.
Yeah,
I was so it was something we created together and built up, and I loved it, absolutely loved it.
Would you go back to a shop?
I'd never say never, but no.
Well, I've done it, and I'll be honest with you, I love the shop, and I love the opportunities the shop brought over the door. But now I'm free of it, I'm not sorry. I'm loving the freedom. I really am.
Well, perfect comment to bring up.
Yeah, Kirsten has a lovely shop, huge shop, much bigger than what I had. I find it hard not to take it personally if I have a quiet day in the shop. You need to be mentally strong. Well, I suffer with depression, as you know, anyway, Kirsten. And to be honest, though, I find everything. If I have a quiet day, if I have a bad day on YouTube, it all comes to me. So to be honest, though, and any reseller, you have to be mentally strong, because there's a lot of knocks, hell of a lot of knockbacks.
That I've found, maybe you haven't, but I've found that gets easier with time. Riding the wave, because it is a continual like roller coaster, is what I equate it to reselling. I don't tend to worry about that now, and I've been riding the same roller coaster for 20 years. I just enjoy it now. There's not.
I gotta be honest. I don't care about quiet days. They don't bother me because I'm that confident in my stock and my business.
Yeah,
I know if I have a few quiet days, it'll balance out by the end of the week. So that doesn't worry me. But stuff, like you get the trolls on YouTube, or someone may send me an email to the website and have a go on an email, or just be generally nasty. And I used to get people coming in the shop trying to rip you off in the shop or be horrible in the shop. Things like that, they get to me straight away.
Yeah. So that's the more personal stuff. You're taking
Yeah, I take it very personal, I do. But I know exactly what Kirsten's on about, because I used to go outside the shop and I'd go like this with a video camera and there wouldn't be a soul walking through the town.
Yeah.
Literally not a soul.
Yeah. I mean, I was lucky in that way that we were in a market. Our shop was a video game shop essentially, but we did all media, and it was busy, very busy. We were in Hitchin here, where the shop was. We didn't really have direct competition. There was Blockbusters, but they were appalling.
They were expensive.
They were. We didn't have another secondhand outlet, so we were busy. So I didn't really have those quiet days to sit there and mull things over. But what I will say is that the pressure of retail can get to you because you have overheads like nothing else. I mean, ours here was ridiculous what we were paying out on rates. Don't get me started about rates. And rent and staffing costs. We had staff and the 101 other things. So we had to run to stand still with overheads to some extent, So that was a big pressure that I'm relieved I don't have anymore,
Well, the first £1,500 to £2,000 I had out of the shop would only cover the costs.
Yeah.
Because of all the overheads, the insurance, the utilities, the rent, everything. The first £2,000 a month I made in that shop went onto bills before I saw a penny. So yeah, I can understand from that aspect. While Kirsten's on the screen, she's got her own channel and website. Go and check that out. She's a lovely lady, so got to give her a shout out.
She is indeed. I was going to say just quickly, a lot of people moan about eBay fees. I know that isn't the subject to this, but while we're on overheads, I don't like it when fees go up, and I don't like it when they're sly about fees. I made a video recently about the promoted listings thing, and I just thought, oh, come on, just be honest about it, eBay. But because I come from a retail background, it's like I accept eBay's fees because of what we're getting and what we're paying for. We actually get that. We get a global market for that 10-15%. So I don't tend to moan too much about that because I've come from a background where I've paid serious money just to have a shop front.
We're going to disagree, but I do.
That's fine.
Now, I used to have a shop front with eBay. And when you actually added in the cost of the shop, the cost of the commission, the cost of the postage, because they charge you on the postage, and I do big, heavy items overseas and everything, so I was paying huge commission on postage. Then you have to pay your commission, your listing fees on anything above your shop subscription. And it actually worked out. I was paying 30% to eBay. That's what it averaged out. It was near enough. It was between 25 and 30% as an overall cost when you added it up on my take-ins to how much I was paying eBay. It was between 25 and 30% when you added everything up. And to me, I'd actually list, for example, let's give an example of a Georgian drinking glass. All right. I would list a Georgian drinking glass, and after 10 days, I'd have 15 views or 20 views on that drinking glass on eBay by the end of it. Yet on my own website, I'm getting 5,000 views a month. So I didn't actually feel it was justified for the cost. Yeah. And on top of that, what always annoyed me with eBay is members of the public can list for free and just pay commission on certain times. And members of the public always get the paid promotions where they can sell an item and just pay £1. They don't do that for business sellers.
I think that it's a debate that will never stop, this one. I don't think there's anywhere. I mean, I understand the website thing. Interestingly enough, we set up a website and we're not getting the traction with that. We're not getting the sales with that.
What's
and
your
I don't
website?
think there's anywhere else in the world I'm going to list these toys today, and I guarantee I will have sold some probably by the end of play today.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's anywhere else in the world I could do that. I mean, yes, I could if I spent the money promoting a website and etc. and had the eyes on the stuff. Maybe I could get the same results on a website. Yes, but that's not cheap.
No, I got to be honest. The website wasn't cheap. I'll be honest with you there. But I'm finding literally between 4,000 and 5,000 views a month I get on the website, and yet my views on eBay, in comparison, were much less.
That's interesting.
Now, I used to turn £1,000 a week on eBay. I did, but honestly, I'm not kidding you. 1 week a month was just for eBay. 1 week's take-ins would just be for eBay. And it just dug in just a little bit much for me to carry on with it. That's why I worked for years to get away from eBay. Honest to God, I built 5 or 6 websites myself, none of which worked. It wasn't until I went to a professional and had one done for me, all the background work they put into it and everything, that this is the first time it's ever worked. It's never worked for me before. I've tried them all. I went, is it Vistaprint done a website for me? GoDaddy done a website with me. I built my own. It just doesn't get the traction. I don't know what this one done. I used a company called, I think it's called Upwork. And what you do, you go to them and you post what you want done. And all these different contractors from all over the world bid to do your work.
Yeah.
And then your money goes into escrow, into third party, and you release it in stages as you see the work being done. And they done my website. Honestly, I'm not kidding you. We changed it like 5 times till I got what I wanted. And I've spent thousands on it, then having alterations and improvements on it. But yeah, I get much better results on there than I get on eBay.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's so satisfying that it's worked out for you as well.
Well, it's took a long time, but
exactly.
I wouldn't knock eBay.
Nothing comes easy.
It doesn't.
This is the kind of takeaway for all of this. Nothing we've talked about comes easy. Doing retail does not come easy or cheap. Setting up your own website that is successful and has sales isn't cheap.
No, it really isn't.
Can get a cheap website.
Yeah, it's getting the traffic there. But I don't want people to think I'm putting them off if they want to restart a reselling business on eBay, because I done it for 2 decades, for more than 2 decades, and you can make a lot of money. I know people who break the VAT limit on eBay.
Oh, easily. So, yeah.
I'm not knocking it. It just wasn't for me anymore.
None of it's easy. Well, I'm a great proponent for eBay. And I think it is still, for ease of start, you hit the ground running with eBay. As long as you've got the right stuff and you're pricing it competitively, you will get sales on eBay. You can't say that about a website. Website long term perhaps makes more sense if you want to worry about overheads, etc. Well, but for immediately, you can set it up now and start getting sales now. It's hard to beat eBay.
Well, I spoke to a gentleman down the car boot sale in Terabirth, actually. I think it was about a week or 2 weeks ago. And he deals in, I think it's games and things like that, like yourself, and toys and that. And he sells on eBay. And he's been on eBay for years. And he was asking me about the website. And I said, look, if you're genuinely serious about the website, take 1 item a week out your eBay stock, design your website, and list 1 item a week that you can afford to lose. I said, and over 2 or 3 years, that 1 item a week or 2 items a week will build up to a few hundred items. You put a little bit of work into the website each week. I said, in 3 years' time, you may actually have a foundation that you can start making money and a successful website, and you can come away from eBay. If you don't put a little bit of work into it and forward thinking, in 3 years' time, you're still on eBay. You're still in the same boat.
I'll tell you the interesting thing with us and what's evolved with us is YouTube has been a bigger sales channel than our website.
Yeah.
Way bigger. I mean, eclipses it completely. And in Instagram for generating leads and generating actual sales with zero commission.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting one. You were saying, and it's true, everything takes time and effort. We've spent the best part of 8 years building up a YouTube channel, and
well, I've been doing my channel now for 4 or 5 years, something like that. And I've only got a small channel. It's like 12,500 followers. It's a small channel. And honestly, I wouldn't be managing without them, because I have so many people on the channel who support me. They support me by watching the channel first and liking and sharing the videos. But I also got quite a few that come across and buy off me.
Yeah.
And honestly, they are the ones that help you on the day-to-day. Last week, I sold a massive charger to a lady as a present for her husband, who's a follower of my channel. And you're not talking a few pounds, talking quite a lot of money. Come off the channel. I have a lady in Birmingham, Sue. She regularly, no matter, I put a video out, it's normally, I'll have that and that, or I'll have that and that. Every week, she's buying off me. Without these people, I wouldn't manage. So, YouTube for me has been a massive, massive part.
In many ways, that's people kind of paying you back for the information and entertainment you give them. And in your case, information, there's a lot of helpful information on your channel that you can't underestimate how that has benefited people. And they're happy to, when they need something for a gift or whatever, they'll think of you first and they'll buy from you. And I love that. It's so cool.
It's not just that. To be honest, I've made quite a few friends as well. Honestly, I got people all over the world I talk to now, and yet I go outside the door and I haven't got any friends because I'm sort of antisocial. My friends exist, online.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's been wonderful to YouTube.
Yeah, I'm the same. I was having a conversation about this with somebody yesterday. Yeah, face-to-face friends, and COVID kind of didn't help with that. I got out of certain habits that I used to have socially, and it's been really hard to get back into that. But I talk to loads of different resellers and friends online now that I never used to have, and it's invaluable really, because we all understand the ins and outs of running your own business and annoying customers and
if anybody has run the reseller business from home, apparently you can claim a tax rebate now because you used your home during the COVID. So look into that. So that came up on one of my feeds this week, where you can claim if you even work one day from home because of COVID. Now we work every day from home, but you can, if you only work some days, like I had the shop originally, then you can claim a rebate on it. So lock in your fuel prices. Mine are supposed to be locked in, but I'm still paying a fortune. Right. So what we got? Leanne Hill. Good morning.
Oh wow!
Well, there you go. That's a perfect example, isn't it? In sunny where's that?
Bergerac.
Where's that?
France.
Right. Well,
I think
it's all right, son.
Good to see you, Leanne.
I'm glad you're doing well. Paid for by eBay sales, of course. There's a perfect example of how well you can actually do on eBay. There's Leanne there, sitting at the side of the pool. If you're having a glass, have one for me.
Yeah. Leanne came up to the last meetup we had in Hitchin. She was lovely. Yeah. Absolutely lovely.
I've lost where I am now. Right, there we are. Yeah. Well, that just goes to show, doesn't it? If you put the work in, you can actually get the reward out of it. You are right, Kirsten. I don't know what that was about. Tom and Bell Cell, good morning. Wouldn't it be great if people posted profit graphs rather than turnover graphs? Well, don't think anybody's going to do that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. I get asked all the time, how much do you make, Nick? And I'm like, that's between me and the tax man. Thank you very much.
Yes. Now, to be honest, I've no intention of disclosing my turnover or my profit. But what I will say is, if you watch my videos, I do not lie on my videos. Everything you see me buy on my videos, or I tell you what I paid, is genuinely what I paid. And if you want to know what I sell it for, go and have a look at the website.
Yeah. And the other thing I'd say when people ask, and this is what we were talking about earlier, and kind of the crux of this show is like, how much do you need to make to be comfortable, etc. And that is, what I make isn't relevant to anybody else, because it may not even cover their bills. What I make.
Well, what I would like to say,
outgoings that are the important bit here, and I'm in a position where those are at a point where I don't have to bust a gut anymore to be comfortable. That's the reality.
What I will say is, and I was discussing this yesterday, I have friends who don't work, and they have their rent paid, they have their council tax paid. And what brought it up is they qualify now for this £650 of cost of living grant that's coming out now. And we were discussing it yesterday because I work, I pay my full mortgage, I pay £1,500 a year council tax, full water, full insurance, full everything. And we ain't qualifying for nothing because we don't get no benefits. So for me, I have to make a lot more, because just to be unemployed, you can have £150, £180 a week and no bills. And, it's crazy how I work 100 hours, and sometimes these people, I feel they're better off than me because they're having like £150, £200 a week with all their bills paid. Some weeks I don't have that left after paying my bills. I don't know about you.
It's we could easily get into.
And I know that's a rabbit hole I'm not going down, but you know where I'm coming from, don't you?
Absolutely, and there's a trap there. There's a financial trap that people end up in. Sometimes through their own, they want to be trapped there, but there is a financial trap. I have very strong opinions about some of that, but yeah, it doesn't make sense. I don't think there's the impetus to push people to get out of that position.
Well, we were talking about it yesterday, honestly, right? Because we were having a moan about this £650, and it was my bills that done it. £1,600 for a quarter in gas and electric. That's what done it for me. We were having a moan, and I was saying, I'm working 100 hours a week. My partner works 4 nights a week, and some weeks we're happy to have £100, £200 left over. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So yeah, it depends what you need. Now, I think you need personally at least £300 profit, £400 profit a week to live a comfortable life. If you're paying a mortgage, cars, and all the rest of it, you've got to have.
Oh, easily.
That's my opinion.
Yeah.
And depending on where you live, you need more than that.
I'd say to a lot of people, that's not going to touch the sides.
No. I'm lucky I live in Wales. Right, so I've got a massive house for a small mortgage. Both our cars are paid for within our finance, so we're very fortunate. But by the time you pay insurance, the mortgage, your gas, your electric, your food's astronomical. We go through £150, £200 a week on food. It's crazy. It really is.
That's only going up at the moment.
Everything is going up. So, it's just crazy the amount you got to pay. How much do you actually need to actually qualify as enough money to live comfortably? Because I don't know if you can put a figure on it.
And I'll say it again, that is going to vary massively from person to person.
Yeah.
Because of what situation you're in with mortgage or rent, what that is. And that varies massively depending on where you are. Like you said, in Wales, that would be massively different to here in Hertfordshire.
Yeah. Where you just sold a house for £500,000, where here the same house is 80,000.
So, and also what debt you've got to cover every month, where you're at with that, what repayments you've got on cars and loans and stuff, that will be massively different for every person. So to start answering that question, you have to sit down with a pen and paper and actually work out your outgoings, because that will be different to Edward's and mine and anybody else's. Without that number, you can't even start asking the question, how much you need to earn to be comfortable.
But you also, in order to work that number out, you also need to know the cost of your stock and the cost of your expenses to sell your stock. Because there's no point saying, well, I need £300 or £500 a week profit to live, because you still don't know how much turnover you need, because you don't know how much your stock's going to cost you, what platform you're going to sell your stock on, and what's your overall costs, marketing, selling, whatever costs they are. They've all got to be added into the equation. So you're going to need, if you want a £400 or £500 a week profit, you need at least £1,000 turnover at least a week.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It sounds like a simple question. Hey,
it's not.
Nick, how much do you earn, and can I do it? It's a complicated question, and it's why I don't answer the question how much I earn, because it's not relevant to anybody else's situation either.
No,
it's unhelpful. It's totally unhelpful for me to tell anybody what I earn, because A, I don't know if they'll be capable of doing it with their situation, and B, I don't know if that would cover what they might need.
Yeah.
So anyway. Yeah. There you go. We can't answer the question.
Well, we can answer it in a generic or general term. But what I would say is, once you work out your bills, you've got, if you're going to go into reselling, first of all, you need a decent business plan and a good strategy, because you need to know, A, you can get the stock. Because it's all right to say, well, I got all this and I can go out and buy it. But if you can't find it, like you were saying earlier, you love toys and they sell like that. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But how hard are they to get now?
You've got to know what you're looking for.
And you've got to do the miles.
Yeah. If you're prepared to go out every weekend, scale the boot sales and the yard sales and the charity shops, you can find enough. But then again, it's about putting the hours and the work in. Yeah. There's no quick fix with it.
But you need to know, A, that you can get the stock to keep your business going. Mm-hmm. B, you need to know how much that stock is going to cost. Then you need to know your platform you're going to sell it at and what costs involved there. Then you need to add in all your other costs, i.e. vehicles. Now, Anya's in the chat here, Double Karma, and she doesn't drive. And she'll be the first to admit how much trouble she has to get out to a car boot sale or something like that. She has to take taxis, which is £20, £30 for a taxi to go to a car boot sale, that she's not guaranteed to buy anything. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of hidden costs you got to think about. And even if you got a car, it's like insurance, MOT, tires. The amount of resellers I see driving around with the wires sticking out of the tire is crazy.
What I used to say to people who were genuinely asking me, how much can I earn? People ask the question because they want to know how much they can earn from reselling. So I think the question comes from a sensible place. Nick, how much do you earn? Because I want to know how much I can earn. I don't think that's the right way to look at it. But what I say to people is, track yourself for a month, right? Track your hours you're putting into reselling and how much you actually make after all your costs. So if you do that for a month and say, this month I put in X amount of hours and I made this much after fees, after costs, after that, and then you've got an hourly rate, a very rough hourly rate, right, that you have the ability to earn, which will vary from Edward and me and everybody else. Once you've got your hourly rate that you worked out, quite scientifically by working out exactly how many hours you put in, which includes sourcing, listing, packaging, everything, then you've got an hourly rate. And then you can say, well, if I jumped ship and did this and I'm going to put in the basic 8 hours a day, you can roughly actually be honest with yourself and say, this is how much I can earn. So if you come at it from that angle, right, work out your hourly rate that you can make reselling by doing it part-time and logging all of your hours, right? That's the only way to actually settle that question, isn't it?
There is another side to it as well. Now, for years, and I mean for quite a few years, I didn't take a wage. The reason I've got all the stock I got now is because I literally didn't take a wage for years. I would literally
how were you surviving is what people would say.
I would only take out what I needed to for bills, and I wouldn't take a wage. I wouldn't have money for spending, and I wouldn't take it out for bills if I didn't need to. If I had my own money, now I have my own money anyway, but if I didn't need to use the business money, 100% of my turnover would go straight back into either stock or improvements. Every time. And I've done that for years. I done it because I love the business and I thought the investment would come back in the future, which it has. But I was in a unique situation where I didn't actually need the money. And there's not going to be many people who can do that. I don't do this for the wage. If it was about the money, I'd have chucked this in 2 decades ago and got a job, working for someone else, less pressure, less stress. I do it because I love the antiques and I love the treasure hunt, which is what a lot of people love. But I also, because I'm so antisocial and I can't take orders from people. And if I had a boss who was an asshole, I'd put him through the wall. So, being my own boss is so much better. So it's the lifestyle I do it for. And because I love what I do. It was never about the money for me. And honestly, I'm not kidding you. I'd say for 3 or 5 years, I didn't take a penny out of the business. Only enough to pay the bills. I wouldn't have any extra money. It'd all go straight back on stock.
Yeah. Well, similarly, when we started in retail in 2003, when we set up the shop, we put everything we had into it financially for a start. Yeah. And then we didn't take out exactly what you said, actually. We took out enough so we were paying our bills, but we weren't going out. We weren't going on holiday.
You weren't taking away to yourself.
We piled it back in.
Yeah.
So we'd take out the little bit we needed, but the lion's share of the profit of the shop went into making that place a success. Yeah. And then that paid off, 3, 4, 5 years down the line. And then we were able to start taking the money, taking the profit out of it. But yeah, it's about, I guess, sacrifice is the word there. And we sacrificed a lot to get that place to become as successful as it was. And that wasn't easy. Yeah. Yeah. When Andrew was pregnant with Ellen and on maternity from Amazon, she was sat there on the computer listing.
Yeah, you can't tell me that's not a love. By that, I mean the love of what you do. I know you love it. I mean the love of what you do.
Well, it was exciting back then as well. We thought we were pioneers, in this online world.
Well, you were.
We didn't know anyone else.
You were the Christopher Columbus.
We were like, we didn't know anybody else. That was in the days where I'd go to the boot sale and chat with acquaintances and say, "Oh, I'm selling on eBay now." What's eBay? Who says what's eBay now?
Do you know, I'm sick of hearing it's worth this on eBay. Try and sell it.
Totally. But honestly, back then I'd go to the boot sale and I'd be explaining to people what eBay was.
Yeah.
At a stall, I sell on eBay. You what? What's that? It's a website. How does that work? Yeah. Is that safe? Everyone was scared of doing any financial transactions online. Oh, are people actually spending money online? I don't think that's safe. No, that's not going to take off. That's the conversation we used to have in like 2000.
And how many billions a year do they make now? I sold the VHSs in 2004, 50p to £15 regularly. I had a friend who actually used to deal with the shops for videos and VHSs and things like that. And he actually became a millionaire from doing the videos. He really did.
Wow.
With villas in Spain and everything. The videos back in the day, they were where the money was. They really were.
Yeah. People throw them away now. Charity shops don't take. Well, I think that's starting to change now. I think they're cottoning on to the fact that they're starting to become a little bit more collected now, VHS. But for a long time, charity shops would just throw them in the bin.
Good morning, Chris. Listening while doing research.
Good to see you, mate. Yeah.
There you go. 12p over 3 images. So the first 3 images were free, and then it was 12 pence an image after that. I thought the first one was free.
Well, I probably, knowing what I was like back then, I probably never used more than 3 images then.
Do you know what I used to use? Oh, Christ. There was, like you got Auction Sniper and things like that now. There was one that used to help you list. And I put my images on there. And it never listed the images for you. It actually put the images in the description free of charge. I don't know if you remember using that.
Oh.
I can't think of the name of it.
There were a few paid for bits of software. Was it?
And you could. What it done? It put the images in the description rather than in the image boxes, and you didn't get charged from that.
Yeah, there were several. I can't remember the names. I used to use one on Mac. Garage Sale, was it called?
I can't remember.
Something
it was
like
that long ago.
I know.
I know, Anya, it's just a normal pint, but yeah, Johnny Depp supporter there. We all are.
Oh, is that how far back you are in the chat?
Yeah, I'm a slow reader. Bear with me. I've got stuff on that's 3 years old. Well, that's not unusual. As I said, for me, I got things that are like 5-year-old, so it's quite normal for me. I forget where I put it. I actually keep a very strict inventory and stocking system. I use a spreadsheet to catalog my stuff. So when I want to find it, I just CTRL of F and type in the item, and it'll take me straight to the box number. So I haven't got to go there through books. So the spreadsheet will take me straight to the item, and then I just look at what box number is, and then it's just drive over to the lockup, open it up, half empty the lockup. If I'm really lucky and pray, it's the first box. Do you know how many times that have happened?
I don't know. Go on. Oh, well, that's a relief. But that sounds like hassle to me. To go and get an item of stock, you have to drive to a container and get it. I'm so used to just turning around and grabbing it.
But you know what? It's the only safe way of storing. If you actually saw how much money is worth, I got listed up. You work it out, right? Up until a few months ago, the cheapest item on there was £100 and £200, and there's 2,100 items on there. It's only been the last couple of months I've been putting a few cheapies on because people have been asking for them. So I've started listing, £20 and £30. But up until a couple of months ago, it was only 3 figures up I would list. And so you work out how much money's worth is on there. It's not safe to have it at the house. It really isn't. I got children here. The last thing I want is people breaking in with children here trying to rob me. So yeah, I don't store nothing at the house at all. So everything's in storage. And it's a secure storage. So, the stock is safe. It's worth the money for the stock to be safe. Where we at? So we got some spam in here again then.
Yeah, just ignore it. It's fine.
Yeah.
Oh, Heather said a similar thing there. Like, I know you
haven't got that far yet. You can say it.
It's fine. Hi, Heather. I have to drive a few miles to my rented garages, but it keeps the tat out of the house. Yeah, makes sense.
There's Leanne asking the question there. I hope I just answered that question for you. Use a spreadsheet, all right, and just use the first block of the spreadsheet and put the title in of the item, and obviously box 1, box 2, box 3. And then when it comes time to search for it, all you got to do is have the box number on the boxes in the storage, and then you type in on the spreadsheet what it is. It'll take you straight to the item. Just go, oh, right, that's in that box, and off you go. It is that simple. But every single item I have and sell, because they're so fragile and so valuable, I wrap them and pack them as if I'm shipping them off the minute I've listed them. So you can imagine how many rolls of bubble wrap I go through. Because as I list an item, I wrap it in bubble wrap and put it into a shipping crate that'll take like probably, 200, 300, 400 kilos on top without breaking. It's all really securely stored, but easy to access.
I use the SKU box on the list. Well, for example, with little stuff, you've probably seen it. I'll just stick these numbers in the SKU box.
Oh, Nick, that is so cute and small.
Yeah, this has got Lego figures in it and spare parts for board games and stuff like that.
The box you actually put in stuff in? That's about the average size of one item for me.
Yeah. Well, and then I've got shelves. So I would have like the A unit, the B unit, the C, and a shelf number. Or I used when we had thousands of car parts, these old labels here, these are the old numbers for those. So just in the SKU box on the listing, if people are thinking of a quick way of doing it, I just choose to have C2, and then I'd go straight here, C2, grab the car part, just check the part number before I ship it, and that's it. Well, so that's all I've ever done, really. I've never got as organized as a whole spreadsheet system.
I learned the hard way, because what I used to do, right, when I worked eBay, I used to literally just have a piece of page on the box, and as an item went into it, I'd write on the box what it was. But then I'd be in the passage or in the storage lockup. This was when I used to do eBay years ago. And I'd be like this, scowling through the boxes. And I'd be out there half hour looking for bloody items. And then I clicked on, I thought, spreadsheet. 30 seconds later, it tells me exactly what box is in. Got to be done. I would recommend that to anyone. Good morning, Stu. Big creator. Walter, do you take Snowball to the car boot sales? She would eat someone. Snowball, where are you? No, she's upstairs. No, she would eat someone. She is the size of a horse. She really is. Right. Morning, Antoinette.
Yeah, the lovely Antoinette. Good to see you.
I really, really struggle with the reading of the names and things. Really struggle. I don't mean to get names wrong, but it's just my reading's that bad.
You're doing a fine job, mate. Don't worry.
Heather, if going full time, have a rainy day fund put aside for sure, as the unexpected always happens with eBay. That's the only guarantee. Also learn about running a business. Well, if you don't know about running a business, you're going to learn fast.
Mm.
And I tell you what, there's more to running a business than what's in any of these sort of college courses. They don't explain to you just how much is involved.
I'd say the first thing to grasp is the difference between turnover and profit.
Yes.
And then the next thing to really hammer home in your own head is being honest about the numbers. Right?
Do you know what I can hammer on?
Be honest with yourself about how much you're actually making, because we all love the turnover figure. That figure's lovely.
Yeah. Can I also make a point? Right. I just want to say to a lot of people, don't chase your items. I've made the mistake in the past where you've wanted something so bad for your site or for your eBay or whatever because you need the stock, and you end up overpaying and you end up not making no money on there. Set your prices of what you can afford to pay for the stuff, knowing what it's going to sell for, and stick to it. Because honestly, you'll be working hard and you won't make any money. While I'm at it, go and check out Heather's channel there. Again, another reseller there. And Heather's a lovely lady again. All right, with Ed's model, wait for the right buyer. There'll be items that you'll just never see because that's one buyer hasn't found it. Ed model, wait for the right buyer. There'll be items that you'll just never see. Sell. Sorry, you'll never sell. Right, that's fair enough. I 100% accept that totally. But the level of profit I make, more often than not, I've paid for the entire day's buy-in on one item. So I may go out, and I'll give you an example. I went to a car boot sale 2 or 3 weeks ago. It was a rainy day, so I didn't sell in my local. I went to my local, it was only half a field. I spent 30, 40 pound there. Went to another one in Abergavenny, spent 50, 100 pound there, whatever it was. And then went to a third car boot sale where I bought, and then I sold. On the day, I spent about 150 pounds, and I made 150 pound back at the car boot sale. So everything I bought for the day was free. And I actually listed close on 2,000 pounds worth of stock for one day's buy-in. So in that aspect, it doesn't really matter how long it lasts. It could sit there for 10 years. It doesn't owe me anything. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah. I often look at my backlog and I don't stress about what it might owe me or whatever, because the business as a whole is in profit, right? So all of my stock owes me nothing, is how I look at it. So that actually frees you up to clear it out now and again.
But it's not just that. If I want to, I've already had offers to buy my entire business off me. I've had multiple people try and buy the entire thing, the stock, the website, the lot, and I've turned them down. Now, when I retire, there's nothing saying I can't sell it all as one job lot, stock included. And if there's a buildup of stock, then it's going to come in the value at the end anyway. Or if there's enough stock on there, one of my children can take it over and just literally sell and never replace the stock, or carry on going and just have it as a regular income for them. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So I'm not really worried. I don't care if I got things that never sell. It makes no odds to me because I'm in no rush to sell anything. I don't care. This is the difference between being a specialist niche seller and a generalist, like lots of us on eBay. Yeah, totally. I would say I'm more specialist seller now, niche seller now with the antiques, the higher end, than I used to be with the general.
12 o'clock.
Yeah, no, I've only got 25 minutes left. I'm trying to catch up I am with the comments. I just lost it now. There we are. The more you earn, the more your tailor, your lifestyle. So whatever you earn is never enough. Yeah. You need to average at least 50% a month than what you need, because there are months of dips where you aren't selling as much, like summer. Yeah. What do you think of that?
I would agree that putting money away because you never know when you're going to have a bad month is wise.
Yeah.
In that sense, yeah. And there are, depending a lot on what you sell, there will be seasonal ups and downs. I think that's what Alfonso is getting at. And it's true. You can't avoid it. I mean,
well, you can't knock it at all.
For a long time with our business model, particularly when we were in retail, we would make a fortune at Christmas.
Yeah.
And it would come crashing down in January, February when we had retail, and we were very much in the video games and DVD market. So, you know, the numbers were, the difference between December and January, let's put it that way, was eye-watering. It's kind of leveled out now with what we do, but so we would put a lot of that money away, and that would see us through the winter, after Christmas, winter. So, yeah.
January was always my best month on eBay, believe it or not. Not before Christmas, after Christmas. I always found with the collectibles, people sort of kept their money for what they needed at Christmas, but then after Christmas, everyone who had money would come and buy what they wanted. So January was the best month for me. But when you have dips like school holidays and summer months, I make it up. I'm very fortunate because I make it up with so many car boot sales. I'll buy a bit of gold or silver. So that'll make up for any sales I've lost. So I'm fortunate in that sense. Expect us a lot of people start ensure bills are paid and plow through anything left back into stock. To be honest, I think that's run of the mill what everybody does. Very few people when they start now take a wage, I don't think. Otherwise, how are we going to grow?
Yeah, and I think that's something that perhaps people don't think about before they start is, you have to have a certain amount. I remember Zahir when he started talking about this a lot, that the struggle with having to keep putting money back in to source more and quality stock when you've also got to pay the bills. So you're fighting, wanting to take out with one hand, but also wanting to invest.
Yeah.
And yeah, that is the struggle with any business early on, isn't it?
Yeah. Really I would recommend if anybody wants to leave their job, maybe take a time out of your job rather than leaving your job, or certainly making sure you got enough money to pay a year's worth of bills before you take on something like this. That's what I would think.
If you could take an extended holiday and really go for it on eBay and find out
whether you like it.
Can you handle it, and do you like it? Yeah. And B, what you can actually earn, not what you think you might be able to. And then you've got that number, which relates to you, which is what we've been talking about, you and your situation. And then at the end of that, however long you can take, you can go, whoa, that was a lot of hard work and I didn't actually earn much. Let's go back to work.
And I tell you what, I know a lot of people who would. Kirsten, when she's building a business, took up a minimum wage and literally boxes piled up in every room. That's the story of every reseller, love.
It is. The old Del Boy approach. It's all Ellen has ever known is stock everywhere, and Nick turning up or Dad turning up with a van full of random gear again.
Yeah, I remember them Rubik cube things you bought.
Yeah, pallet load of Rubik's cubes. Of course, don't worry, that's just Dad. He's bought some weird stuff again.
Yeah. Hiya, Pete. Here's my own website for pictures. Remember when you got free web space, they dial up internet. I didn't realize that. Antoinette, it's never the first box. No, it isn't. I think she's on about with my storage lockup. It's, believe it or not, it's always the last box.
Yeah, well, you'd be crazy to carry on looking for it once you found it.
I've done that before now, where I've missed the item, right, when I've been rushing, and I've carried on going, and I had to go back through a second time and then kicked myself.
Yeah.
Oh, there, I've called you up now. You read that one earlier, didn't you?
Cool.
I only sell on eBay and use the, what's that word? Cysteine?
I only sell on eBay, so use the Cysteine SKU box. I'm not sure if that's a typo. Cysteine SKU?
I don't know what that is.
The SKU box is the box I put my little shelf reference number in.
Right, okay.
Yeah, she's using that for a location as well, yeah. Hey, Neil. Neil's been at Glastonbury, lucky sod.
Well, hello, and thank you for joining us if you're down there. Where we at now? It keeps jumping. With listing on eBay, you have to be flexible. eBay changes their rules every 3 to 6 months. Just be careful with eBay. There's a lot of leaning towards the buyer's side than the seller's side. I know you get supported by eBay a lot, but I've had a lot of issues with eBay over the years, and I know people who have.
Well, you say we get supported. If I make a video that goes viral, they listen.
It took a viral video for them to do the headlight, didn't it?
Well, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We don't have any preferential treatment from eBay.
Right, fair enough. I didn't realize that. I thought...
Has Neil got COVID? I managed to pick up COVID. Oh, maybe you got it from Glastonbury, mate. Well,
I hope you're all right, mate. I really do.
Yeah, when you're well, just quick, when you're well, Neil, pop round. I've got those labels for you.
Yeah, I've been very fortunate so far because I've never worn a mask because I'm asthmatic, severe asthmatic. I can't wear the masks, and I touch wood, still haven't caught it, and that's after running a shop with people coming in.
Wow, good for you.
Still retire if you love reselling. It's difficult to retire if you love reselling. I retired from running a successful business. I started back on eBay as I miss selling stuff. To be honest with you, I don't see me ever retiring. And the one problem everybody needs to understand if you're doing this reselling, there's no pension. So build your own pension pot.
Yeah, we've always had an eye to the future with that.
A lot of people are too focused on the now and not looking at tomorrow. What happens if, let's say, in 5 or 10 years' time, ill health means you have to retire? You do not want to have to try and live on sick benefit. You need some sort of pension. My pension's obviously my stock, backlog, and precious metals. But you need something to fall back on. Good morning, Neil.
Yeah. Hi, Neil.
That is if you're shipping to a UK address and they're going to ship it out through the global shipping program, I think.
No, that's a different reference, that one.
Is it?
That's not a GSP reference. There are weird numbers that come up. It's some sort of eBay reference, but I don't know what they're for.
Oh, is that for like collecting from Argos type thing?
No, those are a different reference as well.
Right, okay.
There's odd numbers that come up that's something to do with eBay system. I don't know what they're for. They're not GSP or the local corner shop ones.
Unless people, can you request a reference number for your stock? I don't know.
I don't know. Is the answer.
Right. Thank you very much, Mick. I meant not just for profit. I'm not sure what that one's for. Got a shop full, so got to go. Well, I'm glad to see shop's busy, Kirsten. I'll be going in 15 minutes anyway. Got to pick the baby up from school. But thank you very much for coming on. And everybody, honestly, go jump over, have a look at Kirsten's channel. William, Neil.
I'll have to go soon. I'm gonna
that's fine. I think
I've drunk about 2 pints of Coke while we've been live, just to keep me awake.
Let me have a look if there was anything on this. I made a list idea of what to cover, and I don't even think we looked at it. How much do you need to make each week? What do you want out? What you want out of it, to be honest, though, I think is the most important thing, isn't it? That's the one important question. What do you want out of it, and what are you willing to put in to make it?
Yeah, I think, you know, if people find this because they're considering it as a possible career choice or something, don't, whatever you do, make the assumption it's an easy option.
No.
Working for yourself, full stop, generally isn't the easy option. You will work harder than you've ever worked, and possibly for less money. But long term, hopefully, if it's successful, it will pay off. And I think certainly our stories are that it was a lot of work and eventually paid off, and as we wouldn't change it. But yeah, don't go into it thinking that's a get rich quick scheme, flogging stuff on eBay.
No, it's certainly not. What I would say is, what you get out of doing resellers is you get the lifestyle. You get the freedom, the lifestyle to work for yourself, to do what you love. They're the type of benefits you get more than getting rich or having easy money, because we do certainly work harder than you would if you were working down the shop for someone. Let's say, for example, you were working in Tesco's or something. It's a much easier job than what we do, and a much more secure job.
Yeah, but you have to take orders from.
It's not just the orders. Can you
some
imagine
very annoying young man, perhaps, who you know, or anybody, doesn't matter who it is. That's what I couldn't really handle, being part of a machine. was being told what to do, not particularly agreeing with it, and having to, you know, toe the line. So it was worth it to me to struggle to build up a business, because I wasn't taking orders anymore.
For me, obviously, it's the order thing, because I have a zero respect for authority and terrible. But for me, it was the lifestyle. When I could get in a car, drive to a car boot sale, drive to charity shops, go for a meal, go have whatever, and then come home and do a couple of hours work in the evening. The lifestyle. I haven't missed anything with any of my children. I've been there for absolutely everything. And do you know how priceless that is? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, me and Andrea both quit our jobs when Ellen was born.
Yeah.
And we were there for everything, both of us, and as a father, that was priceless. A lot of men, it's a generalization, but a lot of men, go to work and they miss the first steps. They miss the first day at nursery. They miss.
How many people miss the birth?
Whatever it is.
Because they can't go to work.
So I had the freedom to be working the hours I wanted and to be at home.
Yeah.
Mucking in.
Well, we ain't going to be go on anymore anyway, because I've got to pick the baby up now in 10 minutes. So we'll probably call it there. I'll probably do another one of these again, because there's loads I wanted to cover that I didn't get a chance to cover. Just a couple of quicker laws quickly. 1994 Clapham. Hello, Ian.
Oh, the Germany thing. You looked into that yet?
No.
We haven't got.
Summarize it very quick.
Well, there's new packaging regulations coming in that we have to sign up to if you're going to import into Germany, and other countries are coming online with it as well. It's a bit of a pain in the neck.
What have we got to do?
How long have you got?
Not long.
Yeah,
I'll have to look into it.
I'm planning on putting a video out.
All right. Well, I'll just watch the video then.
Well, yeah, leave it at that.
Yeah, because I haven't got eBay telling me what I have to do anymore, so I do my own thing.
To say it's complicated and ridiculous is an understatement. I just put it
so you can't just put your item in a box and fill in a customs form and ship it anymore.
No.
Okay.
It's to do with packaging. Yeah. It's a whole other video's worth. We'll
cover that another day. Right. Should we call it by there? I'll probably do another one of these in a few weeks, because I've got loads I wanted to get through, and to be honest, we just didn't have enough time. But I have enjoyed having a chat with you. I really have. So before we log off, go and subscribe to Nic and Andrea Hills on YouTube. Links in the description. What's your website, Nic?
It's all of our links are on our YouTube. So if you find us on YouTube, below the videos, there's links to our Instagram, website, etc., etc.
So make sure you go check out Nic's YouTube channel, and you can link off everywhere from there. Check out Heather Treasure Pirate and Kirsten's Collectibles. A couple of good channels there. Curiosity, sorry. Andrea's got a channel as well, haven't she? What's Andrea's channel?
Andrea Hills.
There you go. That's Nic's better half.
Yep.
And honestly, I can't thank you all enough for coming in and joining in. And I'm sorry if I'm slow with the comments, but you just have to bear with me. So I'll see you all soon. Nic, honestly, thank you very much for coming on, mate. I appreciate you getting out of bed to come on.
Yes, it's early. It's still early for me.
I got to go and get a baby.
It's always a pleasure. We should do it more often. And it was good to catch up.
Yes. Trouble is with me, because I got so many children and a business to run and everything else, for me, finding time for lives is rare.
He's a very busy boy.
Well, I'm clock watching now because I literally got to be at the school by past, so I got to go.
Right.
Thank you, everybody. Honestly, I appreciate it. I'll see you all soon. And hit the like button, and don't forget to share the video. Thank you, and bye for now.